Okay, I wanted to quickly do a little demo summary and feedback of this task that I've sort of given to myself. I want to forward my logs from my Raspberry Pi to some cloud service, just because it's a fun learning experience. I used them before and I like them because they have some extra added features like searching and archiving and stuff that I might want to use in the future. And it just saves me from SSHing to the Raspberry Pi to look at the logs, which, to be honest, is probably the simplest solution. But my personal infrastructure is an exercise in doing things maybe a harder way to learn, better understand things, etc. So that's a little bit of the context as why the heck am I using RSyslog and the forwarding module to send stuff to Papertrail and to BetterStack logging at the same time. So this resulted in me having to learn that being able to forward to different endpoints is required a new version of RSyslog. Won't go into the rabbit hole of just learning how the Debian packages backports works and such, but we'll get into that in a bit. But I do want to show that I do have a working configuration, albeit with a little bit of jank. I'm getting some warnings and error messages happening that I wasn't getting when I was just forwarding to Papertrail, at least I think. And so I want to quickly cover what those issues are. And it was sort of fun to sort of have both systems, well, not always both systems were receiving the logs because it depended on, as I was iterating through the configuration, it worked for one and sometimes didn't for the other. So first, let's maybe just do a quick comparison of what they look like. So how I've had things set up before and implementation later. Let's see the results. And can even have them side by side actually if I do it this way. So on the left is Papertrail and on the right is BetterStack. And you can sort of see that maybe Papertrail looks a tiny bit dated. I don't really call that that's not a flaw in my opinion. It looks like it's no, sorry, put it the other way. The BetterStack looks very cookie cutter, and I don't mean that as a negative either. It just looks very similar to a ton of modern. I'm going to even, I haven't viewed the source, but I'm assuming it's React. Like it looks like it's using Material UI or something like that. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm making assumptions without much evidence. Import Logtail. Wow, that's a lot of stuff it's pulling in. I think I'm not sure. Anyways, we don't need to get into those details. I'm just broad strokes. This is sort of like the look and feel that I get out of it. I think I sort of like the menu at the top, like Papertrail, but I think that's just more of a me getting used to it type of thing. I do like the fact that there's a mode switcher. Ooh, I should actually check to see if this follows my system color scheme. Okay, so that would be, I guess, one piece of feedback for the BetterStack folks is that I would love to have this just follow the theme of my OS. I got a bright room, so I'm going to stick with the light theme right now. The structure here is different because I did like the documentation or the guide that was coming from this. Note, I'm not a fan of you rendering my actual token in the documentation, which is sort of weird. I'm not signed in according to this, but I am. But I'm going to be rotating this token after this video, before I even publish this video anyways. So if you try to use this token, it won't work. If you want to try to, I don't know, submit logs and pretending that you're my Raspberry Pi, trying to scare me, which that would scare me. But yeah, just maybe another piece of feedback for the BetterStack folks is that I would rather just not have, I wouldn't want to have to worry about stumbling on a documentation page that actually reveals, secrets that I would generally store in a secrets manager and such. Like even if you look at where is it here? Yeah, down at the bottom. Like I'm not going to put this hard coded in here either. I'm going to render this from a secret file that is encrypted, even though it will be unencrypted, of course, on the server itself. But I guess that's the trade-off I'm making here, is that it's at least encrypted in source control. And so when I saw this this example, which is great, it's nice and thorough and fully fleshed out, but I just wish it would have said insert your token here. I think that would have been preferred. I guess the only other deviation I had to do was I had to specify a file name because I'm using the same spool for two different forwarders. I don't know if that's recommended or appropriate, but or even required. Maybe I didn't need to do it. I'm not sure. I definitely need to dig into the RSyslog configuration bits a little bit. So that's a tiny bit of preliminary UI feedback there. The other thing I did find is and this will go into like actually what issues I'm actually having, is I'm getting these errors, and they appear to only be related to connecting with BetterStack. So if I click on error, okay, so I am seeing, oh, snap, okay. This wasn't happening before for me. When I woke up this morning and started checking this out at around 8:30, and I clicked on this to see, like, back up. So what was my hypothesis was, like, am I getting disconnected from logs.betterstack at a regular interval, which to me would then imply that there's some perhaps connection timeout on BetterStack's end that's breaking the connection. I'm not sure. I'm investigating this, but this is happening frequently, and it looks like not at predictable intervals. It seems to average around 5 minutes, just by eyeballing. But when I looked at it this morning, when I tried to do the last, let's see if I do last 24 hours. If no. Yeah, okay, this is sort of the experience that I was having this morning too. Like, the search seems to be a bit, what's the word? Inconsistent. Like, I know that there's stuff with error, a level error. That's, well, we actually just saw that. But for some reason, I don't know, this, oh, in fact, now I'm only seeing, weird. Okay, I don't know what this how this search bar is supposed to behave. I don't know if it's supposed to only search. Like, I've had this window open for most of the morning and this afternoon, so perhaps it was in, like, you know, the browser's local cache or local data, and so it was searching that. But now, anyways, I know that there's more errors than this, and so this sort of leaves me feeling, BetterStack feels a little bit awkward in this regard. But if we look at Papertrail, like, I don't really have that same, I'm not using the same syslog template. So I'm just gonna have to do just a plain text search here. So if I search for, like, GNU TLS error, and it responded really quick, which is cool. And it feels like it's got all the data. Interesting that this change from 1920. So I must have done, different version. That's when I upgraded RSyslog. So I needed a modern version of RSyslog in order to have the multiple endpoints. So sort of cool to see that we certainly got a different, a noticeable change with the upgrade. Now, this is going back to around 1800 yesterday, which sounds about right. That's when I started working on this. So this is probably related to improvements in RSyslog trying to like provide more information when there are GNU TLS errors. So I'm seeing this issue in the logs, which is a little bit annoying. So I've pretty much followed all of this, and so things that I'm planning on playing around with is maybe setting like the keep alive, TCP keep alives in this, and see if that changes anything. I don't know if there's like it's a lack of data and that's resulting in the connection being broken. I'm not sure, but it is making me feel like I don't necessarily want to switch to the BetterStack logging yet. That search is a little bit suspect. I'm not a fan of that, and of course seeing these errors. A couple other observations. This is now this is not feedback for BetterStack. Probably feedback more for RSyslog. If I close this, let's look at the BetterStack. Actually, no, let's have both. Okay, that didn't reset the search, did it? Okay. Is this? I want this to be live now. Is it live? I think it's live. 1436. From 10 minutes ago. Okay. The other thing that I'm seeing is that when these restarts happen, I'm seeing these warnings. This is the OM forwarder gets suspended, and I believe that's related to these errors. And then when the OM forwarder restarts, actually, I need to double check to see if the service is restarting. I haven't checked that. I'm seeing these warnings: certificate file is not set and key file is not set. Now that is not a problem, and I believe it's related to. I got a mixed mode implementation here. So with the Papertrail configuration, I'm using the streamdriver.ca file to specify the CAs that can verify the identity of the server endpoint. Whereas for BetterStack, I'm sort of trying to not deviate from their configuration as much as possible. And I suspect that RSyslog is saying that, oh, you specified a CA file. How come you're not specifying a certificate and a key associated with that certificate? And I don't intend to be doing client-based authentication. I just want to make sure that when I'm sending logs to Papertrail, I am sending logs to Papertrail. And I just noticed that I am not using auth mode name. I'm using anonymous, which is means that I am suspect to a bad actor in the middle problem. So I need to change that, and I think now I'm starting to meander, but that's all right. That's let's go to the history. I think I actually changed that to anon because I was having problems with the CA file thing. Let's just take a look at the history in the GitHub UI. Fix TLS log forwarding. Yeah, so I did change it from name based, and yeah, okay, yeah, the peer name not authorized. I was having issues with what was I having problems with? I think it was a mixture of this configuration, but then when I look at the BetterStack uses this stream driver permitted peers, whereas this is using stream driver permitted peer. So I don't know. This is me needing to review the configuration, but I think I can bring this back to use X509 name-based authorization or authentication, but I'm still going to see these messages in the logs where I'm going to see this warning: certificate file is not set and key file is not set, which is it's like there's no I guess by specifying permitted peer, right? I'm trying to make sure that I can verify the identity of the host that I'm sending the logs to, but have no intention of authenticating myself with that endpoint using any kind of like certificate based authentication. So anyways, it's a little bit noisy to see those in the logs. I'm not sure why they showed up now. My guess is that they showed up because I'm using this as a way of specifying the CA file rather than using like this global default NetStream driver CA file thing. But that's something to play around with. So, what else did I have to say? I wanted to, I pointed out the docs. Yeah, like the docs for both are fine. I think the only issue I had with this was like, putting, credentials or a secret rendered here that can easily be blindly copy and pasted and then checked into source control or observed through someone sharing a screen and posting it on the internet. I think that was that's a bit unfortunate because it was one of those things where like before I was going to record this, I wanted to make sure I'm like, where can I possibly leak a secret that I don't want other people to find? And it was really sort of like, oh, I wanted to show people the documentation. Oh, I can't show the documentation because it contains my secret. So I'm just going for the side of like, I'll rotate that rather than not demo what the documentation and how it helped me at least get something working out of this. What else? The configuration, blah blah. This is all fine. It's cool that they provided like a sample template like this, although I am probably going to switch it to the RC5424 one. The search, I think the biggest thing for me about whether or not I'm going to go to BetterStack login in the future was just that the search just being a little bit, I don't know, it's not accurate. Like there's been many more logs in the last 6 hours with level error. And so this makes me feel a little bit less confident that if I'm going to try to troubleshoot something and try to like, get a good time window of experience to see what's going on, I'm not going to trust this search right now. And so I'm going to just run Papertrail and BetterStack logging simultaneously for the next little while until I see maybe improvements in the BetterStack stuff. And keep in mind, like this is just a Raspberry Pi. Like I'm not sending a lot of logs, and this makes me think like I don't know if I'd recommend BetterStack logging for a more sophisticated infrastructure. Like I said, this is just one single Raspberry Pi. The only thing I plan on adding is I'd like to start shipping my Windows logs at some point. And then the theme part is just a nitpick. It's not a deal breaker for me. It's just a nice to have. Like I like it when I switch to dark mode, and then GitHub just automatically changes. Unfortunately, my Vim doesn't automatically change. It only changes once I reload it, which is also something I would like to fix at some point, but that's unrelated to this issue. Cool. So that's sort of where this stands with this. I hope this feedback is valuable for the folks at BetterStack. If you happen to check this out, I'm happy to do some experiments and try some things if you have the time to just have a quick chat. With that being said, I'm going to do a couple of the experiments around the Keep Alive TCP Keep Alive settings in RSyslog, and I'm going to try to normalize the OM forwarding module configuration so that they're consistent across both. So I'm going to use the permitted peers configuration here. I'm going to make sure I use the CA file, stream driver CA file configuration here rather than using the global one, just so that they're both identical. and then go from there. All right. Hope you enjoyed my rambling.